A lot of people have asked me, Andrew, you gave up your U.S. citizenship, and with it, you gave up the right to ever live in the U.S. again. You gave up the right to have a U.S. passport. You could have done something so much easier. You could have just moved to Puerto Rico and enjoyed a great tax regime. Why didn't you do that? I'm going to tell you why in this video. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and in this video, I'm going to explain why I chose not to move to Puerto Rico. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Puerto Rico has several different tax programs whereby you can move there as an entrepreneur, as an investor. You can take advantage of really low tax rates, and they've got they've changed some of the rules over time. I mean, they recently changed some of the rules to where it's a bit more complicated, but if you're a successful person, it's not that difficult. And so if you're a U.S. citizen or a U.S. green card holder, you can move down to Puerto Rico and you can cut your tax bill by about 90%. And so we've talked about Act 20 and Act 22 in other videos, but people ask me, Andrew, if you could have just moved to Puerto Rico and saved money on tax, why would you go to the extreme of simply expatriating from the country? And my answer is simply this: I don't want to live in Puerto Rico. I think that's an important thing to consider because as much as Nomad Capitalist and going offshore and saving money on tax through legal tax reduction strategies, as much as that's a numbers game and zeros and ones, it's also a lifestyle game because you don't get to designate someone else to move for you. You have to move there. It's your life. And so not only was my renunciation not a tax-fueled thing, I just happened to disagree with the policies. It had been something I wanted to do for a long time, even before I had as big of a tax problem. I just don't identify with the country. I don't identify with America first. As a person who spends his time in the world, I don't think America first. It seems a little silly to me. But I think the importance is you've got to have an offshore strategy that you like. I am not out here suffering not being in the United States because, it's a quick cash grab. In fact, what motivated me to first do this was not the money. It was personal considerations. And so obviously I run a business where people come to me and I'm sure some or many of them, their first priority is financial considerations. If they could just live in San Diego and never pay any taxes again, they love that, right? That's not possible. So that's why they come to me. I'm not here to judge what your motives are, but what I am here to say is I think there's a lot of dogma that gets attached to certain options. And the challenge that I've seen with Puerto Rico is not that it's a bad option for some people. We've helped some people do it. The challenge I see is that it becomes like anything else that attracts followers. It becomes the in thing to do. All the cool kids move to Puerto Rico and some of them say, Andrew, you're an idiot. You should have just moved to Puerto Rico. No, because I don't want to. I don't like the idea of spending 6 months of my year on one island that's still part of the United States. For me, I like the idea of having different cultures, different experiences. If I'm living in the United States, in Puerto Rico, that means that I can't date people from other countries, right, which is of interest to me, right? So, if you want to be with someone and they can't get a U.S. visa, or if they can't spend 6 months with you, then that's going to be an issue. And so I like to have an international perspective. I do not want to spend 6 months in one place. That's not a tax issue. That's just a personal issue. I like the idea of having several different homes. I like the idea of having my trifecta, 3 main places, and doing business travel from there without having to answer to anybody about why did you go to Serbia for 3 days? You have to keep your certain amount of time here. So I think that everything has pros and everything has cons. If you're going to move to Puerto Rico and you want a lifestyle where you're willing to spend a good chunk of your year there and you like everything that Puerto Rico has to offer and you qualify for the tax incentives, because not everyone does, then I think it's not a bad option. But to suggest that you should do something that you don't want to do merely to save a few extra bucks, merely to preserve a passport that may or may not be relevant to you, for whatever reason, I'm a big believer in yes, go where you're treated best, save money, keep more of your own money. If you're living in San Diego, you're being robbed. You're paying a fortune. I had a guy recently, he's making a couple $1 million a year. He's paying close to 50% by the time it's all said and done. Almost half of his income is gone because he's living in San Diego. He's living in California. I don't want you to do that. I also don't want you to be miserable. I understand that if the only way for you to save taxes were to move to Minsk, you wouldn't do it, right? So we have to be honest about what it is you want. And so for me, the social limitations, the travel limitations, all those things that came with Puerto Rico just didn't interest me. It just wasn't where I want to be. And so one thing that I talk to people about when they come and ask for my help is I really try and dig into the person. It's not just about saying, here's the tax strategy that'll work and you have to go over here. Now, again, if the only place in the world you want to live is Los Angeles or Paris, then we're going to have some challenges. But if you have some flexibility, then we've got a lot to work with. And so the answer why I didn't move to Puerto Rico is the same answer why I don't go to a lot of other places. I just don't like it. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.